Time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Catalfamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Countywide. I'm your host Philip Catalfamo. I'd like to thank you for joining me. On today's show we're talking court-appointed special advocates, and my guests in studio, we've got two of them. CASA coordinator for the Verde Valley, Jennifer Behr, is to my right, and across from me is CASA program manager Quinci Castleberry. Thank you both for coming in to talk about this wonderful program.
Thank you.
So let's start off with this for people who are unfamiliar what court-appointed special advocates are. We're going to refer to it as CASA. What is CASA? Either of you can answer.
Court-appointed special advocates. These are regular people in the community that are recruited and trained to advocate for children while they're in the foster care system.
Okay. And you know, you mentioned that foster care system, of course, going through the court system.
Yes.
You know, what is that process for a child going through the court system?
Oh boy, it's extensive. I mean, you are removed from your home, usually due to abuse or neglect. There is no legal guardian or parent that is, the way the law is written, that's willing or able to care for the child. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a parent gets incarcerated, sometimes it's a substance abuse problem, sometimes it's neglect. It just all depends. There's a lot of different
situations
right. And definitions of what abuse and neglect look like for a child. But when the Department of Child Safety determines a child can't remain in the home for whatever reason and has to either be placed with a relative, possibly a close family friend, or placed in the foster care system and be cared for by somebody else while the parents are working out whatever problem it is that they've had that's caused their child to be removed from their home. Children are in the what we call the system, the foster care system. They become legal guardians of the state.
So essentially, a CASA representative is almost like a mentor or just somebody there to provide very much structure to a child going through one of these very unfortunate circumstances.
Right. And so what happened, Philip, is over 40 years ago, a judge in Washington said, I'm not getting the whole story on what's happening with these kids. Right. I've got attorneys in the courtroom, I have social workers in the courtroom, I have all of these people that are talking about what's going on with this family, but I don't really know what's going on with this child. And so he got a group of his friends together and said, hey, would you be willing to get to know these kids and then come back and tell me about what's going on? Right. And so that's how the CASA's program started so many years ago.
And that must be, super beneficial because you do have that, that one side of the story that you get from the parents that may, of course, may or may not be true. Everybody is entitled to what they want to believe is fact or fiction. Right. But we all know the kids are super honest. Right. And so when you get that opportunity to talk with them, like you said, you get a little bit more insight as to what the actual situation is. So then that CASA representative can go, look, here's what's going on. Here's what I've been told. Right. Let's match it up with what everyone else is saying. Right.
And it's from the child's perspective. Right. Judges will often say that CASAs are the eyes and ears of the court. Yeah. And so judges can't go out, take a child to lunch, do things with them, whereas a CASA volunteer can. And then they come back and report to the judge and tell them what they've learned about this child.
Yeah. Any testimonials, people who've gone through this program? I know that you were a CASA volunteer, which we will get into a little bit later. Any testimonials of people who have gone through this, or kids who have gone through this program and have seen a lot of positivity out of it?
We have a lot of kids who have benefited from having their own advocate. I think a lot of kids feel like this person is there just for them. I remember a little girl, and we had a CASA go into the foster home where she was living, and the CASA intended on just going in and introducing themselves. This was the very first meeting, and the child was so excited to have just this one person there for them. And the CASA was talking to the foster mom, and at one point the child interrupted. She was about 6 years old at the time, and she looks at the foster mom and says, "She's here for me." and then she took the CASA's hand and wanted to show her room and wanted to go play in the yard. That visit ended up taking about an hour and a half. This introduction, I'm just going to stop in for a few minutes. And we just could see the difference in this child who had experienced a traumatic event. Not only the abuse or neglect that was alleged to have gone on in the home, but then to actually be removed from that home and placed with strangers. And then here's this person that shows up just for her.
Yeah, and it's got to be very tough. You know, you mentioned it. Just some of those situations that these kids have gone through are so traumatic and so hard to justify as a kid mentally. And then you have that CASA volunteer going in there and going, look, this is what's going on, but this isn't the end game for you.
Right.
You know, there's a lot more life to be lived. There's a lot more positivity that can happen.
Yes.
You mentioned a lot of the abuse and neglect, the very more harsh situations. Is CASA just more involved with that, or are there lighter situations, maybe like a divorce hearing, that you guys also deal with, or the organization deals with?
No, that would be domestic issues.
Okay.
So these are all situations where the Department of Child Safety has stepped in. There are the allegations of abuse or neglect, and it's that process of determining, has that actually happened, has it not happened, or has it happened, can the state provide services to remedy that situation, and children can be safely returned to a mom and or dad and go on and live their lives.
Okay. Jennifer,
Yes.
how did you get involved with CASA?
So I have a pretty long history being involved within the juvenile and adult criminal justice field, and I came upon this position online, and what stood out for me was the word CASA. I was like, over the years I've heard what, here and there about CASA, but I really didn't know what it entailed. So I did some research, went online, and I was like, you know what? I want to be a part of this, because a lot of the jobs, experiences I've had throughout the years aren't really that rewarding. And I felt like I've always loved to help people, and in this particular position, I felt like I could really have more of a meaningful purpose to, getting involved with the advocacy, with the volunteers. And so I applied, and I'm here today, and I love it. It is amazing to work with the volunteers that I have. Their commitment, their passion to their advocacy and looking out for the best interests of the children is wonderful. They truly are a committed bunch, and I am very grateful for having the opportunity to work with them and to grow this program in the Verde Valley as well.
Yeah, well, the Verde Valley CASA office number is 928-554-8900. For the Prescott CASA office, that is 928-771-3163. Their website is casaofyavapaicounty.org. CASA, of course, in Spanish means home, which is very much what you guys are trying to provide, is that home structure. Just, not in full, obviously, but just that transitional period of, okay, Dad's probably going to go to prison for a little bit, and then you're going to be with your mom or with a guardian, and easing that transition, I would assume, is point one of this program.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're coming down to just under a minute here, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Quinci's involvement in CASA and how she started as a CASA volunteer and then led up to being a program manager, and then we'll talk about how you can get involved with CASA when we come back on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. County Wide will be right back.
Starting in the late 1920s, Grandpa Gettle and his brothers laid the groundwork for what would become a family legacy. Almost 100 years and 100 patents later, Gettle's High Desert Mechanical continues to raise the bar of quality heating, cooling, and plumbing products and services in the Verde Valley.
Call Gettle's High Desert Mechanical, Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing at 567-2200 or online at GettlesHDM.com, providing solutions for your comfort. Don't settle. Get Gettles.
Hi, this is Greg at Verde Solar Power. You know, Arizona has lots of clean, renewable sunshine, and we want to help you take advantage of it with our quality solar installations, and we offer to beat any written offer on a residential solar electric system. So bring us your electric bill and let us show you how solar power will save you money. We're located conveniently here in the Verde Valley and are dedicated to helping the valley go solar. So remember, the energy solution comes up every morning.
So I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Orkin has pest control down to a science.
When your business chooses Orkin's Precision Protection Program, you get a tailored pest control program for your specific industry and environment.
Your business can benefit from over a century of experience, training, and scientific knowledge that define the Orkin man.
Maximum protection, minimum exposure, backed by one of the industry's most comprehensive guarantees.
Choose your locally owned and operated Northern Arizona Orkin and get more than an exterminator. Get an expert.
I want to welcome you back here to Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. We are talking Court-Appointed Special Advocates, or CASA, the program here in Yavapai County and around the world. I am joined by CASA Coordinator for the Verde Valley, Jennifer Behr, to my right, and across from me, the CASA Program Manager, Quinci Castleberry. I do want to clarify, the Prescott CASA office number is 928-771-3165. It's written as 3165 on my notes, but I said 3163 because it's still early in the morning. But we're happy to have you back. We have a lot more to talk about. Volunteering for this program. Quinci, you started as a volunteer for CASA. Let's talk about that.
So when my late husband and I moved to Yavapai County back in 2010, CASA was something I had heard about years before. I knew I wanted to get involved. I jumped in 2011, became certified as a volunteer, and took my first case. When I was working on the case, I thought, I really did have one of those aha moments and said, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I took a job with the office itself. I became the admin assistant. I worked up to a program coordinator like Jen, and then the opportunity became available for me to be the program manager. And it's been the best experience. I mean, living here and working with these kids, working with this community, working with the judge that we have that oversees. We have a fantastic program of staff who really care about the volunteers that do the hard work, and the volunteers themselves.
And you were talking to me off air that you were working for the city of Prescott at the time,
Yes.
and they were very accommodating to you, utilizing whatever time you had during your 40-hour work week to go volunteer at CASA.
Yes.
And Jen, you come from a completely different side. You worked in the criminal justice system. I'll switch over here to you, Jen. Do you think your experience in the criminal justice field helped you to sort of transition easier into this sort of work?
Absolutely. I think all of the experience that I brought with me just helped me really adapt to this new working environment and really grasping what the CASA program is about. And just working with volunteers is a little bit of a new experience for me, which I completely love, and I've really felt like I've connected well with the volunteers over here on the Verde Valley, and I would love to get a few more as well to add to my wonderful volunteers that I already have. So.
And what are some of the volunteers what is that sort of that demographic that you mostly get in terms of volunteers? Because I know that it isn't just people who had, a criminal or a criminal justice background or worked in law enforcement, but what are some of the other people that you find are intrigued by a program like this?
A lot of our volunteers, they come from a very diverse background, but we see a lot of retired school teachers, social workers, attorneys, even, I have some that are in the retail world. I think anyone who works with the public, you do see a lot of people in their professions that they worked throughout their lives, some sort of involvement working with children.
Right.
So that passion just leads over into their retirement, and they're looking for some way to give back to the community and what they worked throughout their life in the field.
When I look at a program like this, the first thing that I think of is this is a great thing on a college transcript or a resume booster.
Yes.
Working in a program like this for somebody who is going into pre-law or going into education or even law enforcement, having something like this on your resume would be great. Again, CASAofYavapaiCounty.org is the website. I don't want to mess up the phone numbers again, but what exactly does a CASA volunteer do to help the children?
They're going to spend about 15 to 20 hours a month getting to know the child, getting to know the history of what brought them into care, understanding what their needs are while they're in the foster care system, and then they're going to meet with other team members that are appointed to this child, talk about what those needs are, and then the biggest thing a CASA does is they report to the judge. That happens about every 3 months. They do it in the form of a court report, but they can also give verbal advocacy in the courtroom. And Jen's background being in the law enforcement and working in the court system, it was so easy for her to transition into working with CASA, because one of the things that scares everybody is, I've got to go to court. I've got to be in front of the judge.
Yeah. I get afraid when I get a jury duty notice.
Yeah. and that, I mean, once you meet our judge, you are immediately put at ease, because she values what the CASA has to say, the input that they provide. It's their input that helps her make those really hard decisions about the future of this child and their family. And so she heavily relies on what a CASA has to say. Sometimes the law doesn't allow her to do everything a CASA recommends, but she values what they have to say and the input that they have.
How does volunteering for CASA differ from volunteering in other opportunities?
Well, as far as that, being a CASA, you are appointed by the judge. So you are essentially an officer of the court. So you're gathering information from reports, documents, other people that are working on the case with you as well, and reporting back to the judge, because the judge heavily relies on that as from the CASA, so she can make the appropriate recommendations that she sees fit to serve the best interest of the child. I think it's just, there's just so many different aspects of, what a CASA does that is, I guess we call it more of the
Big Brothers on steroids.
Yes.
Big Brothers, Big Sisters on steroids. It's getting to know that child and mentoring them, getting to know them sometimes as a friend. Some CASAs and their kiddos develop this really close relationship that carries on well past the time of the dependency. But it is an amped up version of that, just going out and having fun, because you have the advocacy component.
Go ahead.
And just one more point to add with becoming a CASA, I think one of the critical components of a CASA is that they are the one constant adult figure in that child's life. They're going to see them throughout the process. They're not going to just walk away from them. Once they develop that relationship with the CASA or with the child sees like, okay, I can trust this person. It helps them build those trusting, the skills they need to trust an adult. So it's very important, and it's a wonderful experience to watch it blossom as these advocates are working with these children who essentially in the beginning did not trust an adult, and now are forming a healthy relationship.
Especially if they come from, I know we've talked a little bit about some of the situations that kids come from, and like you said, that trusting aspect is very, very important, especially if they're in an environment where the adults are not very trusting, especially if it's people who directly know them. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll keep talking about volunteering for the CASA program. Again, their website, casaofyavapaicounty.org. When we come back, we'll keep talking CASA. Don't go anywhere, right here on Countywide.
From inspiration to installation.
If you need help with your decorating plan, call the pros at the Picture Window. We are your #1 source for top quality blinds, shades, shutters, and flooring. We've been in business here for 41 years, and our delightful sales staff has decades of experience. We're the locally awarded Best of the Best in both Sedona and the Verde Valley.
Don't pass up a free estimate on your project. Call the Picture Window now.
Paul Stanley here with Stanley Steel Structures. We offer shade structures that provide style, value, and performance. Our Equinox louvered roof opens and closes to give you the ultimate patio experience. We also offer Alumawood shade covers that looks like wood but lasts like steel and never needs painting or maintenance. Visit us at StanleySteelStructures.com. Contact us today and be covered tomorrow. Stanley Steel Structures. Let us add some space to your place.
Been hearing about the crazy benefits of CBD? Find out how CBD can help you at Sedona's #1 resource, CBD Sedona. Come in for a free consultation and let our trained medical staff help you find the perfect product for you. Pain-relieving salves, full-spectrum oils, honeys, teas, cookies, and even CBD for pets. Ready to feel fantastic? Come on by CBD Sedona today.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
I want to welcome you back here to Countywide. We are talking to the Court-Appointed Special Advocates, or CASA, representatives from CASA Coordinator for the Verde Valley, Jennifer Bars, to my right, and across from me is CASA Program Manager Quinci Castleberry. We've talked about their experiences with CASA and working in the program, how you can be involved in the program. Their website is casa.yavapaicounty.org. Working with kids, some might have questions about experience that may be required. Is there any prerequisites needed to be a CASA volunteer?
No experience necessary. We encourage all people from different ethnic backgrounds, professional backgrounds. There are a few minor requirements, 21 years of age. Okay. You have to be open and willing to have a background check completed on you, have referrals made, and be open to an interview, a CASA interview as well. And then we ask that you remain on the case for the duration of about 18 to 24 months in average, and that you will need to complete 30 hours of training prior to your appointment as a CASA.
And that was going to be my next question is, you know, a lot of these court proceedings, can expand for a very long time. You know, how much time do you should you be kind of expecting to dedicate as a CASA volunteer?
On a monthly basis, we look at 10 to 15 hours roughly. It kind of depends on the stage of where the case is at. A lot of CASAs find that they spend a majority more in the beginning of a case, and as that case progresses, you know, when it's heading maybe more towards reunification or adoption, there's not as much information that is coming out because we're getting close to the end of the case. But as we just mentioned, that the duration of the case is on average 18 to 24 months. So it is a long-term commitment, but it is worth every minute of your time because it's very rewarding and fulfilling, and you learn so much about the dependency process and the foster care system.
And sometimes you're going to spend a little bit more time one month and less time another month. In the very beginning, you're probably going to spend a little bit more time because you're learning the system. Right. But you don't have to have a background in working with children. You don't have to be a former school teacher or have criminal justice background. We'll teach you everything you need to know about what you need to do. And then furthermore, we're going to walk with you through that journey. We're not going to train you and say good luck. We're gonna
here's your kid, have fun.
Here's your child. We're going to be walking with you through that journey, helping you with that court report that you have to write and submit to the judge, knowing which questions to ask, what recommendations to make, because we know not everybody comes from this type of background, and so we're there to help you and support you so that you're successful in your advocacy.
We've got under a minute here. How many children need a CASA volunteer here in Yavapai County?
Well, according to our judge, every child needs a CASA. She would like to see a CASA assigned to every single case that we have. We have about, it varies. We're probably in the range of 450 children in care right now. And we have 65 volunteers. We have 15 that are going through training right now. We would love to have more CASA volunteers in Yavapai County, so every child has the benefit of having an advocate assigned to them.
Again, CASA of YavapaiCounty.org. Their phone number for the Verde Valley is 928-554-8900. For the Prescott office, it is 928-771-3165. Quinci, Jennifer, I want to thank you very much for coming on. I want to thank you for watching and listening. Go volunteer for CASA. We'll talk to you again next time.